Welcome to r/Am I the Jerk, where Karen is claiming to be the biological mother, even though she's not. My ex's new wife is claiming to be my daughter's actual mother. I'm 27 female, and my ex, 26 male, have a 6-year-old daughter together. Things weren't working out for us, so we broke up last year and decided to co-parent. We both have custody. He got married a few months back. I don't have any hard feelings or anything for him and his wife. He is a great father, but his wife is going around saying that not only did she become a wife, but she got a bonus daughter too. Last week, my daughter was with her father and I saw his WhatsApp status, a video. In the video, she was asking my daughter to call her mom and saying how she looks just like her and how people think she is her birth mother. Without a second thought, I called my daughter's father. I was mad and I had a fight with him, asking him to drop my daughter off back to me. I don't regret it, but everyone is saying that I'm overreacting. Okay, maybe I am, but I can't stand the idea of my daughter calling someone else mom. Edit. She and my daughter do not look alike. Bonus daughter is fine, but asking her to call her mom isn't. Help your daughter find a couple of unique nicknames for her stepmother that no one else uses. She's insane if she thinks that's even remotely okay. I have a stepson, and I couldn't even imagine asking him to call me mom, especially when his mom is a wonderful and involved mom. My husband wouldn't stand for it either because we all have a good relationship, and even though they didn't work out, he still has respect for her as his son's mother. Am I the jerk for telling my dad in front of his in-laws that I'd rather live with my grandparents? After my mom passed, my dad relied on her parents for 3 years to take care of me. I, 15 male, was 3 when my mom passed. They would pick me up at 7 a.m. from dad's house and take me to their house, and dad would pick me up at 8 p.m. after he was finished with work. They were more like parents to me than he was. He worked 6 days a week, and typically most Sundays I spent at least 4 or 5 hours with them too. They took me to my first day of school, picked me up early if I was sick. They were there when I was sick. My earliest memories are of my time with them. I don't really remember dad from back then. This changed when my dad met Beth. One minute it was me going to my grandparents every day, and then Beth lived with us, and suddenly I was home with her instead. My dad and grandparents fought about it a lot, and he ended up telling me when I was 7 that I wasn't going to see them anymore, and he and Beth were getting married. A month before the wedding, I was sitting in front of a judge and being asked questions about my dad, my grandparents, and stuff like that. The judge was nice. I don't remember a lot of our talks, but afterward, I did get to see my grandparents again. My dad wasn't happy about it. I was 10 when my grandparents admitted that they had to take dad to court to see me again. My dad hates that I see my grandparents as much as I do, 3 days a month, 1 day overnight a month, and for a day around my birthday and Christmas. He hates that I leave my half-siblings behind to go and see them. There are times he's talked about going back to court and has asked me if I'd say I don't like going without my siblings, and I always tell him that I won't say that. Beth hates my grandparents too, but for a different reason. She blames them for me rejecting a closer relationship with her because they never allowed me to feel like I didn't have a mom. And I do kind of feel that way. It's hard to describe. I know she's not here and I can't speak to her, but I still don't feel motherless. I don't want to have that kind of relationship with Beth, and it upsets her. I don't think it's cool of her to want that so badly because I'm sure she'd hate to be forgotten by my half-siblings, so I don't like her much for that. My dad complains more about my grandparents now than he did when I was younger. My half-siblings are old enough to know I go to my grandparents and they can't come along. He also knows I prefer being with my grandparents and he hates it. Beth's parents and siblings and their spouses were at my house Saturday night for a dinner party, and my dad was complaining about my grandparents to them, and everyone was acting like my grandparents were bad people for taking dad to court and for not letting me forget mom. Dad said during the party that he'll never understand why I want to go there so badly still. I said I'd rather live with my grandparents than him. Everyone went quiet, and my dad made me go to my room. He was so mad yesterday, and he told me I should know better than to try and humiliate him like that. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. Your dad and his wife are the jerks. Your grandparents gave you stability when you needed it the most. Your father should be grateful and glad that your mom's parents want to maintain a relationship with you. It sounds like, at some point, your grandparents had to go to court to enforce their grandparents' rights. That's how much they love you. And you were right in standing up for them to your father, though I don't know if it was right to do it in front of his in-laws. If your father tries to keep you from seeing them, I would notify your school counselor. I think the response in front of the in-laws was appropriate. He wanted to talk about private family affairs in front of an audience, then cried foul after his target disagreed and joined into the conversation. I thought I mastered malicious compliance, then my wife showed me how it's really done. For this story, you need to know that I'm the kind of person who will go to great lengths for a good laugh, as you will see below. I love this story, and we tell it every once in a while, even though it's been more than 20 years. I live in the US and I own an IT support company. Many years ago, I used a cell phone company named Nexel. They had this great push-to-talk feature that turned your phone into a walkie-talkie, which was perfect for communicating with coworkers in my IT work. However, their customer service was a nightmare. Anytime I needed to contact them, it would take at least 30 to 40 minutes on hold. Eventually, I had to switch to a cheaper service, which meant getting a new number. Now you can port your number to a new carrier, but back then, you had to change numbers if you switched carriers. I canceled all the phones on our plan except for mine, which I downgraded to an emergency plan costing about $10 a month. I left the old phone plugged in at my office and sent my voicemail message to instruct callers of my new number. The phone just sat next to my desk on a shelf, plugged into a charger so that I could see if anyone called. I could also hear the phone make a sound when it disconnected from the cellular network and then a different sound when it reconnected. It connected and disconnected constantly there in my office. I would estimate that it only stayed connected to the network about 50% of the time. After 6 months, I decided to cancel it. I had to wait on hold for the customary 30 to 40 minutes just to cancel my service. After telling the service rep that I was always dropping off the network and that I had already switched services, they verified the service problems on my account and canceled my entire plan. I wasn't under any contract at the time, so there was no problem canceling my service with Nextel. As expected, I got my final bill. It was somewhere around $10 since that was my monthly plan, just the emergency plan, and I didn't make any phone calls. I paid the bill and was happy to be done with that carrier. Then, the next month, I got a bill for 4 cents. Yes, 4 cents. I figured it was a clerical error and I ignored it, expecting them to just write it off. But no, each month another bill for 4 cents arrived. It was incredulous. I checked the postmark and saw that the postage to send me the bill was costing them 10 times more than the bill itself, and they kept sending the bill every month. I could have paid the bill, but it seemed ridiculous to write a check for 4 cents and spend more on a stamp. After 6 months, I finally had enough and decided on some very petty malicious compliance. I decided to invest the 40 minutes on hold to call Nextel to work this out. By golly, if they wanted my 4 cents, I would give them my 4 cents. I planned to wait on hold for 40 minutes and pay the 4 cents with a credit card, knowing it would cost them more in fees. I told my wife about my plan, thinking it was the perfect malicious compliance story. But my wife, the true master of malicious compliance, suggested an even better idea. Call and ask if I could make payments on the 4 cents, splitting it into 2 payments on my credit card. Wow, I was in the presence of malicious royalty. I called, waited on hold for 40 to 45 minutes, and finally got through to a rep. The representative sounded more like one of those airport terminal attendants who acts like they're checking your reservation, but instead they're writing a Stephen King-length novel. I could hear the clickety-clackety sound of the keyboard. The representative was constantly typing as I explained that I had canceled my service but kept getting the final bill and proposed making payments. The rep, typing away, said she'd look up my account. As she typed away at her keyboard, I explained that I had gotten the final bill and that I would like to set up a payment plan to take care of the outstanding balance. I told her that I would like to pay half on my credit card today and pay the remaining half the following month. She was agreeing with me and typing away when suddenly she stopped typing and went quiet. "Sir?" she said. "Yes," I replied. "Are you aware of the balance amount?" "Yes," I said. "4 cents?" "Yes," I said. "I figured that you really wanted that 4 cents because you kept spending all this postage to send me bills every month. So I'm just calling you to take care of it." After a brief silence, I heard the clickety-clack of the keyboard again, and she said that I would not have to worry about the balance because she was writing it off. I insisted on giving my credit card for the first half of the payment, but she firmly dismissed it and assured me I wouldn't get any more bills. My wife's suggestion turned a simple prank into a masterpiece of malicious compliance. I may be good at it, but my wife is on another level. And you really have to want to do malicious compliance to wait on hold for 40 minutes. Update. First, a couple of commenters stated that I was stupid for waiting on the phone for 40 minutes to do this. Yes, no argument there. But my first line above states that I will go a great distance for a laugh. However, no customer service reps were injured in this exercise. The conversation only took a couple of minutes. I saved the company money because they fixed their stupid error. They stopped spending more on postage than the actual bill, and I was working in my office while I was on hold. so a little time traded for a funny story. These companies need to have an autofilter that just writes off balances less than the cost of sending statements. They would save a bunch of money and would be able to deduct that as a business loss. Would I be the jerk for secretly recording my dad's girlfriend? I'm 20 years old and was a former foster kid. I was never adopted before I aged out, but I was placed with Joe when I was 10, and we were long-term matched by the time I was 14. Joe is the only real family I've ever had, and I consider him my dad, even though the adoption never happened. When I first moved in with Joe, he was married, but his wife passed suddenly when I was 12. That was tough on both of us, but we managed to get through it together. Now, Joe's been dating his current girlfriend, Sarah, for about 2 years. She didn't come over much, and when she did, it was pretty brief. But 3 weeks ago, she moved into our house because she lost her job and couldn't afford rent anymore. I don't know if she was always like this, or if moving in has brought out a different side of her, but Sarah's been acting really strange. Whenever Joe isn't around, she completely ignores me, won't even look at me when I speak, won't answer questions, nothing. At first, I thought it might be some kind of anxiety thing, but now it started getting worse. For example, when Joe's at work and I'm in the lounge watching a movie, she'll come in and start blasting TikToks on her phone or playing music, totally disregarding the fact that I'm there. When I ask her to turn it down, she just flat out ignores me. And it's not just the ignoring that's the problem. She started saying some pretty nasty stuff about me too. She FaceTimed her friend while I was in the room and talked about how lazy I am and how I don't contribute anything to the household. Yesterday, I was sitting on the sofa watching the new Deadpool movie when she came and sat across from me, FaceTiming her friend again. She started talking about how she and Joe are trying for a baby and how excited they are because neither of them have ever had kids before. Those exact words. It felt like a real slap in the face. I know Joe wouldn't have said something like that because he considers me his son. So either she's making it up or I don't even know what. I haven't told Joe about the things she's been saying to her friend because I don't want to mess up his first real relationship since his wife passed, but this situation is seriously getting to me. I mentioned the situation to a few people, and a couple of them suggested that I secretly record her behavior when Joe's not around so that he can see what's really going on. It seemed like a good idea at first, but when I talked to one of my close friends about it, he said that secretly recording her could just make things worse. He thinks it might make Joe feel like I'm going behind his back and could cause even more tension, especially if Sarah twists it to make me look bad. So, would I be the jerk if I secretly recorded her to show Joe what she's really like, or should I just avoid it altogether? I don't want to seem like I'm trying to sabotage his relationship, but I'm not sure what else to do. Not the jerk. You need to talk to Joe. You can record it in case he doesn't believe you, but you need to talk to him ASAP. And you might also have to work on your exit plan in case it backfires, which it might. People in love do strange things at times. OP. I don't think Joe would ever kick me out, but you're right. I should have a backup plan just in case. So many parents kick out their kids when a new relationship forms and the kid doesn't get along with the new spouse. Don't be blindsided by something that's a huge possibility. You're an adult. Joe's girlfriend could have the very easy argument that you're an adult and need to move out so that they can work on furthering their relationship. Having a baby together would absolutely be a reason he would side with her. Not the jerk. Out of curiosity, you've only explained that you lounge and watch TV. Are you contributing to the household in any way? If Joe's girlfriend is contributing to the household, I can see why she would have an issue with you. OP. Well, I'm still in college. Americans would call this high school, but it's summer. As a foster care leaver, Joe is paid 300 euros per week by the government to support me until I finish. This will continue until I finish university or until I'm 25, whichever comes first. I also get universal credit, which I use for most of my expenses. Get your act together and contribute to the home. It seems to me you're too naive to realize that he will pick his girlfriend/bedmate over the 20-year-old taking up space and annoying his hot girlfriend. You don't realize it, but unless you start contributing, your days are numbered. You're off school for the summer. Why don't you have a job to go to every day instead of sitting on the couch? OP. Who hurt you? Nobody hurt me, but I did have enough common sense to get my act together and not just play video games as a 20-year-old and then complain about somebody who actually is contributing to the household. If he doesn't believe the girlfriend is more important to Joe than he is, he has blinders on. Just wait until she has a baby. He needs to wake up and get his act together. It's time to fly out of the nest, find a job, and contribute with college. Build your own life. You're an adult, a young male with lots of possibilities. This young man didn't have a stable home until he was 10. He went through a difficult childhood, and his life's trajectory is not the same as most people's, so developmentally, it may be important for him to take a little longer to feel safe and confident. He's still finishing his secondary education due to these complications, and you have literally no idea what opportunities he does or doesn't have. As long as his father is happy to have him there, who are you to tell him he needs to leave home? What a presumptuous thing to say. But going to school isn't contributing to the household. Doing chores, taking out the trash, making dinner, doing laundry, sweeping, vacuuming, doing repairs, these are responsibilities. If she finds herself or Joe doing all of this, then I would be annoyed as well. You're an adult. As an adult, you should be contributing without being told to do so. That's the responsibility of maintaining the home. I would suggest getting a job as well, at your age. Many folks go to school and have a part-time job. But if that's not the case, you can help around the house. I guarantee if you're doing those things, Joe and possibly Sarah will have a different, more positive opinion of you. Update. I decided to talk to Joe directly instead of secretly recording Sarah. I thought it would be more mature, sensible, and non-confrontational to handle things face-to-face. My mindset was that if he didn't take it seriously, then I'd consider recording to show him what was going on. When Joe got home from work, I asked him to talk privately in my room. He seemed a bit confused at first, but I made it clear that I wasn't trying to sabotage his relationship. I just needed to tell him that some things Sarah was doing were making me uncomfortable. I reminded him about how she ignores me and mentioned how she plays videos while I'm watching TV. But when I told him she said that he didn't have any kids and that they were trying for a baby, he looked really upset. It felt a bit awkward, but Joe called Sarah into the room to talk with us. He asked if what I said was true, and she immediately denied it. You could see from her body language that she was lying. I'm not sure if she just never expected me to say anything about how she's been treating me or what. Joe firmly told her that this is my house, not hers, and that while she's a guest here, she can't be disrespecting me. Things got a little heated, and in the end she apologized to me, though it was through gritted teeth. I accepted the apology, even though I'm not sure it was genuine. After that, Joe asked if I was still comfortable with her staying with us. I said I was, because I didn't want to break them up. I just wanted to tell him what was happening. However, she decided to stay at her friend's house for the night, which made the situation feel even more tense. I can tell Joe is really upset now, and I feel super guilty for making him feel this way. He insists it's not my fault, and we ended up having kebabs for dinner, but even so, I can't shake the feeling that I've caused a huge fight between them. Joe went to bed early, and now I'm stuck feeling bad about the whole situation. It doesn't matter if OP was working, going to school, doing all of the chores, or volunteering at a soup kitchen. It doesn't matter if he's just taking some classes and being a thoughtful son. No one should be treated the way that Sarah is treating him. If she can't manage basic decency and communication with her boyfriend's son, who Joe has parented for 15 years, she's just a crummy person, full stop. It's clearly a thinly veiled attempt to force this young man out of his home so she can have her fairy tale ending, without the second-hand foster kid getting in the way. My husband went on a last date with his ex a week before we got married, just to make sure. His ex was always the one that got away, according to everyone around him. He ended things because he didn't see a future with her, but everyone around him was shocked because she was so good and beautiful. Then we met, and I soon understood that everyone from his side preferred her. I even heard some people call me the Camila, although I am neither much older nor less attractive. In my opinion, I love how I look, even if I don't tick all the beauty boxes like being tall, blonde, or having blue eyes, etc., like his ex. He's never given me any reason to doubt him. He gave me the impression that he knew exactly what he wanted. He was secure enough in his heart to tell me he loved me a few months into our relationship, and I never felt like he was lying or that I wasn't enough. He's fully aware of what people think about him leaving his ex, and he gave the impression that he thought they were silly and childish. He told his mom that I am who he chose, and if she wanted a part of it, she needed to clean up her act. We got married 3 years ago, and only now I found out that he went on a date with his ex a few days before our wedding. He wanted to know for sure that she wasn't like everyone around him thought, the one who got away. He wanted to be 100% sure. His mom told me gleefully when she visited our new baby. She looked at my daughter and said she wondered what would have happened if he had changed his mind after that date, and she would be visiting their baby now. My husband's and the one who got away's. With a sigh, but gleefully. You know what I mean. I haven't spoken to him for a week, and I hate the silent treatment, but I just can't talk to him. It isn't something I'm doing to punish him or manipulate him or get the upper hand and control him. I just can't look at him or talk to him. Am I the jerk for this silent treatment? Edit. He was there when it happened. He told his mom to shut it. Then he admitted he went on the date and confirmed that the reason his mom told me was the truth. Did he also hook up with her just to make sure? Did he try having a kid with her too just to make sure? What kind of stupidity am I reading here? Your husband is the jerk and your mother-in-law is a close second. I can't believe he did that and actually told people. Could you stay with a family member or a friend? Having some space will help you make a better decision. OP. It doesn't feel fair to take our daughter away from him. He is as much a new parent as I am, and I wouldn't deprive him of time with her. She's 10 days old. We're both obsessed with her. It sounds like you don't even know what transpired on this date, right? I mean, you could let your husband explain and spend the rest of his life showing you that you were always his first choice, and one way he needs to do that is by cutting his nasty mother out of your lives. OP. I'll never know for sure, will I? I will only ever have his account and his mother's account, and they are the same and that he wanted to make sure he made the right choice. My bet is that if there was something more, his mother wouldn't have hesitated to tell me the hurtful details, but she too said it was because he wanted to make sure. Anything about the ex rejecting him or me being a backup is speculation, probably to add more insult to injury. Some people thrive on seeing hurt people hurt even more. Do you actually believe your husband about this whole thing? OP. I don't know. I asked him and he adamantly denied it, but he confessed everything else. I truly believe that if he did, his mother would have made sure I knew to get rid of me, so this is why I don't know. Her not rubbing it in my face is my truth. Update. My husband and I have talked. Well, he did most of the talking and I listened. I asked him for the honest truth. He said that he got cold feet. He was panicking about why nobody saw what he saw. He showed me texts from his family and friends up until our wedding of people asking him why he was doing this and if he was really sure. His sister said that he was making a huge mistake. After the wedding, however, everyone stopped and they basically told him they respected his decision even if they couldn't understand it. I never felt that they liked me, but I have noticed that they were less intense and rude after the marriage. But starting now, less rude isn't enough for me anymore. The date was a dinner and wine. He understood it was wrong the second he sat down at the table, but didn't want to just leave because it would have been weird and rude to ditch her when he was the one who made the dinner plans. He didn't tell me because he knew I would call off the wedding and thinks it was bigger than it was. He didn't want to hurt me. He said that he loved me from the day we met and that never changed. We're going no contact with his sister, mother, and most of his friends and family. His decision, not mine. His father is the one member that genuinely loves me. I have no problem having him in my life. We're far from okay. I told him I need time because we can't make any decisions, and right now we need to concentrate on our baby. I don't want us to miss out on her first weeks. There's something new with her every day, and I don't want us to miss that. I don't want this experience to be tainted with me being heartbroken. I refuse to miss out on the joy my baby has brought into my life. I see therapy and counseling in the future, but not right now. I don't want that. Then we either come out stronger or we separate. I'm 3 years older than my husband and 8 years older than his ex. To the people in my DMs calling me unattractive and jealous, I'm neither. Not every girl dreams of being tall and blonde. Not every man likes tall and blonde. Only people with limited views think that being a Stacy is the ultimate goal and nothing else. They broke up because my husband didn't develop feelings for her. When he realized it wasn't happening, he ended things because he was looking for love. So no, I wasn't the backup. Even if many in my previous posts thought it was a good idea to call me a backup to add more insult to injury. What kind of satisfaction do you get from that? Am I the jerk for not fixing my wife's mom guilt? My wife, 33 female, and I, 35 male, have been married for 4 years and we have 2 sons who are 3 and 1. With 2 young kids and both of us working full-time, we obviously don't get a lot of time for ourselves and even less for the time of us as a couple. We've had maybe 2 dates since our youngest was born. My wife has at least been able to attend a couple of her friends' weddings, but I haven't had social time just for myself in probably 6 months. My wife has been lamenting our lack of social lives and asked me to plan something for us to do as a couple because she doesn't have the mental energy for it. A few weeks ago, I saw that one of her favorite bands was playing a show in a town we used to live in before we got married. We still have friends there, so I reached out to them to see if they would like to attend the show with us. They agreed and even offered for my wife and me to stay with them for a night so we wouldn't have to drive home after the show. I told my wife about it, and instead of being happy or excited, she immediately went off about how we have no one to watch the kids. We've never both been away from them for a night, etc. I told her that I had already asked my parents to come stay with the kids for a night, and they were excited about it. But my wife kept going off about how our kids haven't been sleeping well. What if this or that happens, etc. I did my best to calm her down and asked her if I should just cancel the whole thing, because it didn't sound like she was on board with my idea. She said she wanted to do it, but she was just worried about leaving the kids for a night. I told her that this plan was literally exactly what she asked me to do, but if she didn't want to do it, then we could cancel. She again said she didn't want to cancel. Well, the concert was this past Saturday. My parents arrived Friday so that they could have a night with us and the kids at home to get familiar with our routine. Everything went fine that night, but the next day, as we were getting things packed up and ready to go, my wife became hesitant. Instead of packing, she was running around asking my mom and dad a bunch of questions related to the kids. I tried to get her to focus on the concert and seeing friends, but I couldn't do it. Eventually, I asked her if she still wanted to go. She said she wasn't sure. She told me she was feeling guilty about leaving the kids overnight. I told her that we both need to have time for us to behave like adults, and this was our chance. She then told me that I should just go by myself because she didn't think she would enjoy herself. So that's what I did. I went and saw friends and spent the night and had a great time. When I got home the next day, my wife was upset with me. She told me she didn't think I would actually go without her. She said having my parents there without me was uncomfortable for her. She said I should have done more to soothe her mom guilt so that she could have gone with me. Not the jerk. I was prepared to go another way, but you did exactly what she asked of you, and you facilitated the obstacles by finding free lodging and safe childcare. The only work left for her was the mental work to go, and her choice was not to. While it was her right not to go, she can't be angry that you did. There was no reason that required you both miss the concert. My wife told me that someone else is her soulmate. My wife, Em, met her best friend, Chuck, back in high school. They became close friends, and Chuck came out to Em. Em was supportive. A year or so later, Chuck told his parents, and long story short, they kicked him out, and Chuck ended up living with Em and her parents for the rest of high school. Em and I started dating after college, and she told me all about Chuck and how close they were, and how he was like a brother to her. I met Chuck, and we got along and became friends. He's a great guy. At the time, Chuck was dating a guy. They ended up moving in together about the same time that Em and I got engaged. Em and I have been married for 5 years now. I'm a project manager, and I took on a year-long project in another city. I have to leave at 5:30 a.m. every morning and get home around 6:30 p.m. Em and I had a long talk about my job before I took on this project. We knew it would be a sacrifice for me to be working so much, but I'm getting more money than I ever thought I would. After this project, we can pay off our student debt and start trying to have a baby. We both agreed the money was worth it since it's only 1 year. That year will be up in late November. In March, Chuck caught his boyfriend cheating. He was devastated. Em immediately told him that he could move in with us. I was fine with him moving in, but was not happy that Em didn't even discuss it with me first. Chuck was pretty broken up, and Em was giving him lots of love and attention. I was fine with it because I know how much she loves him, and he did need her. I also did my best to support him and make him feel loved as well. For a while, this was fine. But as time went on, Em has continued to pour all of her attention into Chuck. Sometimes I get home from work and neither of them are there, and I found out that they went to a movie or out to dinner together. I don't think that there's anything romantic going on between them, but it has been annoying that I get left out of all the plans. The past few weeks, several things have happened. The three of us went to a party and someone joked about Chuck being our third wheel, and Em said, "Chuck is not the third wheel." I said, "What?" And she said, "I've known Chuck longer than I've known you." A week or so after that, Em and Chuck went out dancing one night. I had to work the next day, so I stayed home. I woke up at about 3 a.m. and Em was not in bed. I went and found her and Chuck cuddled up on the couch, asleep with the TV on. Both of those things made me uncomfortable. I also realized I had been working so much, I was just sort of letting Em and Chuck plan everything, and I had not planned a date night in a while. I decided I needed to be more active, and so I planned a date night for last Friday. When I first told Em, she was excited, as we have not been on a date, just the two of us, in a while. Friday, I got home at 6:30, and Em and Chuck were not there. I took a shower and got ready. About 7:15, I called Em, as we had reservations for 8. She answered, and when I asked where she was, she said her and Chuck had gone shopping and were getting some dinner. I was kind of stunned and asked her about our date. She laughed and said, "Oh, I forgot. Oh well." And that was that. She didn't even invite me to join them. I've tried to never be controlling of Em or tell her what to do. I also tend to shut down when I get angry. When Em forgot our date, I was mad, so I didn't say anything right then and there, but I knew I needed to address how I was feeling. So later that evening, I told her we needed to talk. I had written down some things so I could stay focused. I started by saying that I do love Chuck and he was always welcome in our home, but that I felt like our marriage was suffering and we needed to work on us. Em blew up. She thought I was attacking Chuck. I guess I didn't word things well, and she started defending him and coming at me. We have never had a big fight before. We always talk and work things out. I was stunned that she was attacking me over this. She said some really awful things. Then she said, "Chuck is my soulmate, and you just have to get used to that." I just shut down. I didn't even know how to process that. I love Em more than anything in the world, but in that moment, I realized that she loves Chuck more than she loves me. I thought Em and I were soulmates, but to hear her say that she considers someone else her soulmate has been devastating. I don't remember the rest of the talk. She huffed off after a while and slept on the couch. Her and Chuck left together on Saturday and were gone for most of the day. When they got back, she's acting like nothing ever happened. On Sunday, she even made a small joke and batted her eyes to me, something she does when she's flirting with me. Normally I love it, but this time it just made me sick. I told her this was a busy week at work and I was just going to stay at a hotel near the job site, something that I've done a few times before, so I haven't seen her since Sunday night. I don't know what to do. Typing all of this up has made me realize I'm really burnt out with all of this travel. Maybe I checked out too much and haven't given her enough attention. But how do I move forward knowing she will never love me as I love her? Minor updates. Seeing a bunch of comments from women who say that they have more than one soulmate has given me hope. To me, you only have one soulmate, but that's not a word Em or I have ever really used, and I just really hope that she means it different than how I took it. We've been texting back and forth some this week, and we spoke on the phone last night. It wasn't anything big. She just called and said that she misses me and couldn't wait until I got home. I'll be home tonight. I told her we should talk about our fight last Friday, and she agreed and said she hates that we fought and we need to work it out. She said she loves me. We'll be talking tonight, and I guess I'll find out where I stand. Update. When I took the time to think about all of this and type it out, I realized how burnt out I was. Friday morning, I met with my team, and I scheduled some time off coming up soon. I'm in a much better headspace now, knowing that I have that downtime. Em and I had our fight on Friday night. Then I left Monday and stayed out of town all week for my project. Em texted me this Friday and said Chuck was gone for the weekend, so we could spend time, just the two of us, and that she wanted to make up for our missed date. I got home Friday evening and we agreed to talk before doing anything else. I had written out everything I wanted to say and she sat there and listened. We talked for a long time and we each went back to some things to get clarification, so I'm not going to try and replay everything we said, just the main parts in the way that makes the most sense. I told her how I didn't like her joke about me being the third wheel and how much it hurt that she forgot our date, and then how crushed I was that she said Chuck was her soulmate. There were some other little things too. When I was done, she said she was sorry and she was wrong for saying those things. She said I'm not the third wheel and I am her soulmate, and she asked if she could explain why she had said what she did. When Chuck's parents first kicked him out in high school, he was really in a bad place. He told Em's mom and they got him help. So when Chuck called in March about his boyfriend cheating on him, Em had freaked out and was afraid that it could be a repeat of what happened last time. She said she felt like she needed him close so she could watch him and keep him safe. I had made a comment about how for the past 6 months, it seems like her and Chuck were living their best life together, and she said that she's been miserable this whole time, that she's been on the verge of a nervous breakdown. After our fight, she knew she was wrong and realized she needed to get help and let it go. She talked with Chuck, and he promised that he was a stronger person than he was in high school. They agreed it was best if he moved out, both to give Em and I time to work on us, and so Em wouldn't be obsessing over when he was coming and going. Em wanted to talk to me last Sunday, but I had said I needed time and she wanted to give me space. It was a long talk with lots of tears. She apologized a bunch of times. She said she was so concerned with Chuck's mental health that she attacked me because she thought I was going to make him move out and she was lashing out. She acknowledged that she hurt me and said she loves me and she wants to work on herself and find ways to deal with her fear and worry in a healthy way. We've never really had a big fight before, and we both agreed we could have handled it better. Her by not lashing out, and me by not shutting down. We agreed to start couples counseling to help us learn how to disagree in a more healthy way. We were both emotionally drained after the talk, so we just ordered some food and stayed in. We cuddled in bed to watch TV, talk, and just be together. We've missed each other a lot these past few months, and it was really nice to just hold her. The next day, Saturday, we went on a date. We went to breakfast, went shopping, saw a movie, and even got pedicures together. Several times throughout the day, she would just stop and look at me and say she had missed me and she was so sorry she had pushed me away. Today, Sunday, we called Chuck, who was staying with another friend. He said he was sorry he had caused so much stress for Em and me. He acknowledged he had been focused on himself and not even realized that we weren't doing well. He said he loved us both and is so grateful that we let him stay while he was getting over his breakup. He's looking at a few places and plans to be out in the next week or two. He did offer to move out right away, but I'm okay with him staying a little longer. I think having a plan in place is the most important thing. Our relationship took a hit, but we love each other and we're going to work on it. We set some boundaries and also agreed to always make each other our top priority. I have a few months left on this project, but we're going to make it a point to go on a proper date at least once a week and reserve some cuddle time on the weekends. Thank you to everyone who replied or sent me a message. I got some really good advice. I'm hopeful this experience will make us better and make our relationship stronger. Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard. Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.